Paul, if you want somebody on the edge of the box who can put a strike like that, it is John Joe Shelby, because he has that in his locker. It's only his second Premier League goal for Newcastle, which is, I think, an amazing stat for the player with the quality like himself. But it was the perfect way to start off, wasn't it?
Absolutely, totally. At the end of the day, we all know that John Joe Shelby should get more goals. He should have had more starts this season. Now, whether that's to give Rafa food for thought, or whether that's another team, or West Ham, or somebody who's going to come in for him, but he's such a fantastic player, such a clean strike of the ball. If you're being a little bit critical, you would say that Fulham, they give him an eternity, because I was screaming, hit it, but he took a touch, and you're not going to save them, are you? You're not going to save them.
Goal of the season.
I think Shaw would take that, wouldn't he? I think he's had his own goal of the season competition. But in saying that, today that was really, really special. But why doesn't he score? Why does he not score more goals? It's always perplexed me, because he always used to score against us, didn't he? Before, but since he's come to Newcastle, has he scored enough goals? No, he hasn't. Would I like him to stay? Yes, I would. I think he's absolute quality, and I think we're going to be losing quite a few midfielders. So I would like to keep John Joe Shelby, and it's a fantastic strike from an absolutely fantastic player.
And we doubled the lead just 2 minutes later. It was 2-0 to Newcastle, and it was Jose Perez who got on the rebound of a Christian Atsu's shot mark, and it was just the perfect start, and that was Jose Perez's 12th goal of the season. For me, how is this guy not player of the season? He's our top goal scorer, and he's almost single-handedly dragged us out of a relegation battle in the last few weeks into let's say a healthy-ish mid-table finish.
I think the one problem with Perez is because of the start of the season that he had, and I think a lot of fans will remember that, and that's probably why people are moving away from him as maybe the player of the season. They're probably looking at Rondon, who has probably performed throughout the season. You look at others. Fabian Shaw hasn't probably really put a foot wrong in his time yet. Lee's favourite. So
Fabian Schär's an elegant, beautiful man.
So the one problem is, to be honest though, if Perez had missed that, you would have been questioning him, because it was harder to miss than score, and their keeper was atrocious.
It was, and you have to look at Fulham's goalkeeping, and they've mixed it around in terms of their goalkeeping. It was Rico that was in goal today, and Lee just didn't give Fulham any confidence. And we'll talk about Rondon's goal. Maybe you can say even the second goal was really, really poor, but you must have felt that every time Newcastle went forward, we were going to score.
Well, that's the difference I just said before. Fulham weren't clinical. They're down there for a reason. They concede a lot of goals. And how many goalkeepers? They've had 3. They've had Bettinelli. They've had another foreign lad. They've had Sergio Rico as well. They've changed the goalkeeper so many times, and I just didn't rate him. Where's he on loan from some Spanish side, isn't he?
I think Fulham actually bought him permanently though.
Really?
I think so.
God, I wouldn't even have. I wouldn't.
Elliott would have been a better goalkeeper. Seriously, Rob Elliott or even Carl Darlow would have been better than what they've got between the sticks at the moment. Matt Sells probably would have been.
I don't know about Matt Sells, mind you.
But it goes to show you the difference a quality defence and a quality keeper makes. So you're thinking about like for like, pound for pound, our defence and keeper way better than what they've got.
He definitely assisted us, put it that way. 2 goals today.
Let's talk about the 4th goal, Solomon Rondon. Lovely finish. Bad defending. But this is a question from Chris Bratt. Will we get Rondon on a permanent basis now, Mark? And surely, if Rafa Benitez, he was there today, wasn't he? Surely he must be watching that and going, yeah, he's not a bad player, this Rondon. 16.5 million looks like a good deal. But does it just really depend, Mark, on the fact that how West Bromwich Albion do? We're going to touch about the playoff situation a little bit later on in the show. But if West Brom don't get promoted, should we just be looking at a Gale Rondon swap instantly?
I think the problem is, if West Brom don't get promoted, will Dwight Gale want to stay in the Championship for another season? Because there's talk that he doesn't want to. I think that is his level. I think that's where he's going to perform. I think the other question, yes, you've got West Brom demanding 16 million, but what they've got to look at and remember is it's a player that's got 1 year left on his contract. He doesn't want to be there, so they might have someone who's not going to. I've got the feeling that I think we may get him, but I think the price will drop.
Brilliant. I think if that is the case, then I think Mike actually loves a bargain, doesn't he, Paul? And Rico was actually on loan from Atletico, so it wasn't actually a permanent deal. And thank you very much to Lawrence for all that. Salman Rondon, Paul, for me, you look at his contribution this season, and you look at today's performance, and we watched the game legally this afternoon, but we talked about the fact
Twitter.
and we talked about the fact that he made Fulham's defenders really work hard for the full 90 minutes. He could have scored a hat-trick, let's be brutally honest. He had a couple of good opportunities before he actually got on the score sheet, but just another reminder that this is, if Rafa Benitez gets control of who the players that he wants to bring in, then surely it has to be a done deal.
It's the simplest decision that you will ever make. I've said this before earlier on the channel. It's as easy as, should I wear black socks or white socks? It's a no-brainer at all. You bring him in. Now, we could do another season where we've done the same sort of deal, so that Dwight Gill stays down there, we get Rondon again, or we just pay the 16 million and stop the penny pinching. At the end of the day, if you think how much a Joselu costs you, what, £6 or £7 million? A couple of Joselus equaling what? One Rondon. It's a no-brainer. And after today's match, our top striker now is Joselu. So if that doesn't scare you into some sort of action, nothing else will. It's the most simplest decision you will ever get. 16 million's a bargain.
Yeah, let's talk about a player that used to be on Newcastle's books, and that was Alexander Mitrovic. And Lee, it was a fantastic tussle between him and Jamal Lascelles throughout the game, and it was the Newcastle captain that had the better of Mitrovic. He had a header in the first half, which it was a free header, has to be said, and it went wide. But it wasn't the afternoon that Mitrovic was looking for, was it?
It's nice to see Jamal Lascelles have a good game as well, because he's had an up and down season. He admitted it the other day that, look, it hasn't been his greatest season. I think he had a better season last season, but Mitrovic, let's not make no jokes about this. He wanted to have probably scored one or two the day and go out with a bang. Whether he stays at Fulham or not, probably not. However, it's nice to see that Jamal Lascelles won that battle. And Rafa's come out and said that the press, the media build up that he's got this bad relationship. Look, he had a professional relationship. He just didn't rate Mitrovic. That's the end of the day. He didn't hate the guy, didn't dislike the guy. But nice to see Jamal Lascelles get better of him today.
Yeah, G. Crone says on the comment about Jamal Lascelles, would you take 30 million for him? Is that a fair price, Lee? Do you think maybe that it's a good discussion point, because you're quite right in the fact that the Liverpool game he was poor, but a steady performance. He couldn't have asked for an easier afternoon almost, but a good tussle with Mitrovic. £30 million, would you take that?
Will it be reinvested? We ask.
Forget about that. If it was just money on the table, do you think we could get more than £30 million for Jamal Lascelles?
I think it helps his English. I think that definitely helps. That's every English player is overpriced. Doesn't care what level you are, whether you're a 17, 18-year-old lad coming through, whether you're experienced or trying to make your way, like Jamal Lascelles is still hoping to go jump by another level or two. The prices are inflated ridiculously because of the modern day market. And Lascelles would go for 30 plus million, whether he's had a great season or not. Would I sell him for 30 million based on this season? I probably would. Based on last season, I'd probably want 40, 50, 60, pushing those brackets. But I think form also plays a part in your price. Because if you ask to sell about Jose Perez, how much is Perez worth right now? I bet that's totally different from what it was in December.
It definitely was. And Mark, another player that his price would have gone up from Christmas to the end of the season is Isaac Hayden, and he came in at right wing back, which surprised everybody. No DeAndre Yedlin because he was having an operation and was back in America. Javier Manquillo, I think, was in Benidorm. By the sound of it, I think he was didn't want to be involved.
He needs to stay in Benidorm as well, hopefully. Have they got a football team? Have they? Please.
I think a lot of Brits and a lot of Spanish people want to be in the Benidorm football team, wouldn't they?
Probably do a better job.
Oh, definitely. But Mark, Isaac Hayden, how much of an improvement has he made this season? And is it going to be such a sad thing if we lose him in the summer, which it looks very very likely now, the fact that we all know why he wants to leave for family reasons, but we need to be looking at what, 15, 20 million pounds for Isaac Hayden now?
I would probably be looking at around about the 20 million mark. Yeah, again, because he's English, he's young, he's probably...
Do you not think that's a problem though, because clubs will know that he wants to leave, that'll knock that down?
Not really, because Newcastle United can still turn around and say, well, I'm sorry, but we haven't got a valuation that meets what we want, so you're staying. Yeah, he's still contracted, so it's not that we need to sell him.
And do you think Hayden will stay another season if he's forced to? I don't.
I do. Because to be honest, Hayden really hasn't got a choice. And I still think he'll be professional enough to perform. He's done it this season. He wanted to be a Christmas. He didn't get it, but he still performed. And he's put in some magnificent performances. And yes, I probably think it would be. Yeah, it looks like he probably will go. And it'll be sad to see him go, because I think he's been one of the most consistent performers. When you look at the fact that you've got Isaac Hayden, who's kept John Joe Shelby out of the team, yeah, it's saying something, especially when we go back to the second game of the season against Cardiff, when Lee, Kyle and everyone wanted him out the door.
But you kind of blame us for doing that.
No, yeah, you can't, and a lot of fans will have wanted him out because of what he did. But he's repaid the trust in that, he's re-earned that, and he's done so well, and like I said, it's probably going to be disappointing if he does go.
Kai makes a good point though, but who would we buy to replace Hayden if he goes, Paul? Because let's be brutally honest, it's a young midfielder, English. Yes, we'll probably get good money from him, but who realistically can Rafa maybe, if he's still in charge, and we'll talk about Rafa later on in the show. But is there anyone out there you go, I really want him at Newcastle?
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, you look at the lad at Huddersfield.
Aaron Moy.
Yeah, definitely. I've said all along, I'd like him in, or somebody like Drinkwater. There are alternatives out there. I mean, you look at Chelsea; they've got an absolute abundance, abundance of talent on the books. So Drinkwater, the lad from Huddersfield, I'd snap up all day long. I think there would be quality additions, and again, not at huge prices, because obviously the likes of Huddersfield are going to be sort of forced into selling some of the prize assets off, and he certainly is one who's head and shoulders above, Huddersfield's level.
Because Diani has commented saying Hazen has done well for us, but I would want 14 to 16 million pounds for him. Let him be happy, he served us well, and let's try and find a replacement. The original African who's going to be in the show in the next 5 minutes or so, Paul, my G. I wonder what the G stands for. Right, 45 points, that's 1 point up from last season. A 13th place finish for Newcastle, Lee. How much of an improvement has it been? We've dropped 3 places, we've gained an extra point. Have the teams that were in and around us last season, bar Wolves, who have just had an extraordinary season, improved more, or have we just, I don't know, been a little bit off from the first half of the season? That's why we haven't finished in the top 10.
Technically, it's an improvement by a point. I know it's just a point, but when you look at the overall bigger picture, you look at the money that Rafa Benitez has got to spend against his competitors. It is some sort of an achievement that he's managed to keep this side up. Because if you have another manager who's in charge of the same set of players, would they get the same results? No, I don't think so. I think this team is probably 17th, 18th, hovering. If Rafa Benitez is in there, and you get your Mark Hughes in, or your Steve McLaren back in, or whatever. Don't say them words. Don't say them words. He's on the market.
He is, isn't he?
I think the middle of the Premier League is a lot stronger, because we're a point better off and we're so much further down. I think the top 2 have been absolutely phenomenal, which we'll talk about later on the season. I think the next clutch of Champions League aren't as high.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you look at them teams above us, the likes of West Ham, they actually invest money, and you can say, yeah, we've signed Almiron, but we're only sort of wiping our nose. So in essence, we're sort of standing still financially, where the likes of West Ham go out and spend 40 million on one player, and they'll splash the cash. It splashes the cash left, right, and centre, and we're fighting against this type of team. So I think it's an absolute miracle that we have improved, although not position wise, we've improved on our points haul of last season. I think it's great, and I agree with you. If it wasn't for Rafa, and this is what Charlie and them need to be really careful about, if it isn't for keeping Rafa in, there's no doubt in my mind we would have been in a relegation battle along with the likes of Cardiff.
Yeah, definitely. I think Cardiff actually beat Manchester United today 2-0, which is incredible. But we'll talk about the Cardiff game. Kennedy, a player that missed the big penalty and just hasn't really recovered since then. A lot of people are asking on the comments, what's your opinion on Kennedy? We have touched about him a lot, Mark, but just very quickly, would you like him to come back on Newcastle, even if it was just another loan move, or do you feel that we've seen the best of Kennedy and it wasn't the best that we were hoping for, like it wasn't what we were looking for?
To be honest, if we're going off this season, I wouldn't want him back, and Yeah, you also got to look at is would Chelsea want to, because that's another question we've got to look, especially when you look at Chelsea. Yeah, well, we've had loan players from them. They've got the ban. Are they going to let any of their youngsters out?
They've been very naughty, haven't they? Pretty bad.
Yeah, well, at the minute they currently have a transfer ban that has gone in the arbitration for sport about that. But yeah, I think that would be one you have to watch for Chelsea fans in particular. In part 2, we're going to be talking to ASAP, the original African. He and Lee from Newcastle Fans TV are going to be talking about the charity game that we've got next Sunday night. So that's not next Sunday afternoon, not next Sunday night, because Sunday night will be here. Next Sunday afternoon for that as well. So yeah, keep in touch with us on the comments, and we'll see you after this short break.
Hi everyone, so we're just on a break. We'll be with you in just a second.
I think it's alright.
How to get one of these transfer bans? I know.
Yeah.
Right guys, we're just on a break, won't be long.
Where's this going to go? Right.
It's all said he'd step out.
Yeah, so
I'm going to step out. But Mark, you're going to have to move on the edge.
Yeah, so if Mark goes into Paul's seat, Paul jumps out for 20.
Can you spin that round?
Right, I'll send him in.
Yeah, send him in. There he is. Is it the original African or the original Geordie African?
The original African.
Right. Is that someone's sitting just there? Is that someone said original Geordie on the thingy or original? I said original.
When its wilderness speaks, and you understand. When the tempo picks up, as the sun goes down.
Kind of quick. Let's get on there.
Ready?
One ready.
We're on an ad break, but you're about to go live ASAP. All your G's watching.
No. I'm ready.
You nervous?
Nah, I don't
He doesn't do nervous, does he?
What's G's?
Yeah, so we're still on the ad break, everyone.
Affects your concentration and makes you less able to react to hazards.
Let me know if that's a better camera angle, everyone. Does look better.
See more of me here.
At least you've got you in shot now.
It's fair, isn't it? Like even if I go like that.
So if you want to hear a different audio type, if you jump on NE1 FM.net, you can actually listen to the radio audio quality rather than the mic, because the radio isn't inputted into this Mac at the moment, hence the reason why we're using the microphone, which Johnny was biting before, you know. That's why I was trying to pull it down from you. That's the audio levels. So you're like proper biting it, proper loud. That's why I was like, pull it down.
I didn't even realise.
That's why I'm just holding it around about there, because it's about right.
Because we can't live without it.
Rafa shook every journalist's hands.
Mark was saying that Rafa's shook everyone's hands.
What, even the fans?
Even the fans.
Every journalist.
Every journalist. You're going to show us a dance move whilst you're live.
Yeah, I was just doing a little, gun lean. A little. Oh, do you not know the gun lean?
No.
Gun lean. Right, so what you do? Right. How long?
This is 20 seconds left. I'm going to play.
Right, so gun lean, all you do is left. Right,
Mark, I want to see you do the good lean.
right, left. Oh, no gun lean over there.
To come a little bit in, Mark, of the camera. You can barely see you.
Yeah, but you can dab though.
Seconds
You know
left
that.
on this. and we've got to
Yeah, everyone knows the dab. Yeah. My forehead looking alright.
You can see yourself there.
Ooh, is that me?
Come a little bit in.
Welcome back to part 2 of the Football Fan Zone here on NE1 FM. Well, we have a special guest with us in the studio. We have the original African, or ASAP. I'm sure loads of people know you by different names, but it's a big reason and a fantastic reason why yourself and Lee obviously have got this idea going, and big thanks to Mark as well, who also is in the studio with us. Paul's just taking a quick 20-minute break, getting a cup of tea. Can you go into detail, Lee and ASAP? What have you got planned for the next week or so?
So, we've got a little bit of a following, and ideally we wanted to raise a little bit of money. Every year we do this. We've done it for Bradley Lowry, we've done it for Bobby Robson Foundation last year, but this year we want to go a little bit further it made me not just have one charity football game, but have 2 charity football games. And this fella, his numbers have risen is the right phrase. His numbers have shot up on YouTube, Facebook. He's well known for his skits, interviewing people on Northumberland Street and in Hartlepool as well. And I looked at it and thought, instead of just getting a football channel, which we are on Borough Fan TV, which is great, we're wanting to get something a little bit left field, like maybe bring a little bit of comedy into it. And he's well known, he's well liked, and I thought he's the perfect opportunity. One, he's grown massively and he'll be a big star, so we've got him on first.
One day.
So we've got him on, and I think it's also for him as well, put himself, his brand as a good deed as well, that he's raising money for people who are losing lives for cancer. And I'm sure ASAP will talk about it, that he's lost a family member because of it as well. So really, really good.
ASAP. Yes, Lee's touched on about that. Obviously, a really, really big cause, and the fact that you're growing as a YouTuber, and you're doing exceptionally well. I think last time I checked, you got 17,000 subscribers on YouTube as well. Yeah. What are your goals personally? We'll talk about the reasons behind actually getting involved in this, but what are your goals for the future? What do you want to kind of make from YouTube itself?
So basically, my main goal is to obviously become an actor. That's the big dream. I've always loved acting, and I've actually landed a role in a film that's coming out this year. It's called Sorry We Missed You. It's directed by Ken Loach. You know, the guy who done I, Daniel Blake? Yeah. So obviously I got a role into that, and I can't wait for that film to come out. That's my stepping stone, that I've actually achieved something. But the big goal is to become like one of them top quality actors like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Will Smith, Leonardo DiCaprio, all them, because obviously they're my role models. But obviously with YouTube, it's like a sort of way I can do it myself. So I don't need big companies. You just need your camera. You need the passion. And I feel like the support I've been receiving recently has been very good. Like, the numbers have flew up so high. Obviously Hartlepool, a great thank you to Hartlepool as well, because they've joined the family, because I used to be strictly Newcastle based, but then I travelled to Hartlepool to go study in uni, to study acting there. And I started doing my YouTube there, and the public there have just been as supportive there as they are here. And I feel like this charity game is a good way for us to say thank you to them, because I feel like it's always us receiving likes, subscriptions, comments, but we never really show that we actually generally do care for the people who are watching us. And obviously I lost my grandma last summer to breast cancer, and obviously that tore the family apart. It was a mad moment. And obviously my mum hasn't been the same. She's slowly getting back on her feet, and obviously with me moving out, she's obviously been alone, so I've always been having phone calls with her, and I've seen the damage that cancer actually does, because you don't really see how bad it is until it happens to you. And now it's happened to us. It's affecting my little sister, my mum, my sister, everyone. And I feel like this is great for Lee to give me this opportunity to do this charity game, because one, it's great fun to be with the lads, have a good football game, but also it's not pointless. You know what I mean? It has a purpose. Its purpose is to raise charity, and I feel like taking on cancer is something anyone can do, and you don't need to be a big celebrity to make a difference. Us guys, we might not be the biggest, but we have big hearts. You know what I mean? We generally do care about the people out there, and it's just a great thing these guys have. And I've heard they've done other charity matches, which shows.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously commiserations with your grandma for last year. And everyone's kind of really been affected by this, and the fact that all of us have been affected by cancer one way or another. And the Sir Bobby Robson Foundation complements it so well with the football, on the football side of it as well. What do you think can we do as fans, apart from just obviously donating and trying to reach out to so many more people, but is there anything else that we could do to make sure that this is progressing in the future?
I think it's just awareness. That's all it's down to. So after we've obviously played Fulham today, we've got the win. So Tuesday onwards there'll be a video every day. So we'll be raising awareness. We've got people from the foundation, which Mark, our whole of Liz from there, which is fantastic for us. We're going to be looking at getting the local media involved. Hopefully they'll pick it up, and maybe local press as well. We're going to hit them this week as well. So hopefully we'll get that involved. I think it's just making awareness, and whether it's just £5, 50 quid, 500 quid, 10 quid goes a long way. In the foundation, that's all they ask, is £10 can go a long way. Obviously, Mark, we talked to Liz and she feels passionate about how much just a tenner can go. If we have 50 people donate £1 each, there's 50 quid. there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes which we'll never see. So there's a lot of obviously counselling, radiotherapy, and so on and so on. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs. I'm not the expert of obviously what goes on, but it's nice for us as YouTubers with a presence, with a small, I wouldn't say it's massive, but it's a small audience that we have. There's bigger people out there, there's bigger people with massive audience, but, you know, combined social media. I mean, what's our numbers on cross social media on YouTube now?
On YouTube, I'm on 17,000 subscribers, aiming for 20,000 by this month because it's just
And your
growing.
social medias?
My Facebook is almost on 10,000. Instagram, I also have 17,000 on there. And then obviously on Snapchat, I just have so many now.
So you're probably talking between the two with 90,000 followers there. And that's a big ask. And if we can get people just to donate a couple of quid, goes a long way, because it affects not just the person with the cancer, it affects people around who have it as well.
ASAP, there's one thing I was going to ask you personally, is if anybody who say, I don't know, he's not deciding whether or not they want to pick up a camera or just wanting to follow their dream, what advice would you give, say, someone that's, say, I don't know, say 6-7 years younger than yourself and just going, do you know what, I really want to do it, but I just don't know how to, or I just don't ever have the confidence. How would you start now to kind of become, you know, like, because you probably are a role model to so many people that you don't even know.
Well, first of all, I would say the biggest thing is the hardest part of this all is courage, because it doesn't matter how big you are going to get hate comments, and you have to be ready for this. So the main thing is to realize, is this really what you want? Like, if you really want to do something and you're really passionate for it, then it's going to be worth the hate, everything. Because even I still get hate. I get so many hate comments, but it gets to that point where you're doing what you love, and if they're hating you for what you love, then who's really the problem here? And also, it's all about, I feel like you can ask anyone, because like, especially guys like Lee, when I messaged him, obviously I was still a small YouTuber, I messaged him and he responded to me. So you can go ask him for help from other YouTubers, other people who are set, because like, everyone is out there to help each other. A lot of people are actually there to help each other. They might not be the biggest, but even a small bit of advice, I try my best to respond to every single person's DMs, because I realize there's a lot of young people who want to get into this industry of making videos, but they don't have the confidence. But it's all about taking that leap. And also, you need support from your friends, because I understand, like, once you start, if you've got no support, it won't moralize you. But if you have a good team of friends, or just even 2-3 people just pushing you on, or the right people, it doesn't need to be a big role model, just your close friends, they can push you. And like, I started off with making videos and getting bullied to the point I was leaving classes, I was crying underneath tables, and now I've been offered to go Amsterdam for a company, I'm in a film, I'm doing charity matches with these guys. And when I was getting bullied, I could have easily stopped, but I had my friends who told me, think of the bigger picture. You've got to always think of the bigger picture, because nothing happens overnight, and also nothing is easy. If it was easy, everyone would be a YouTuber, you know what I mean? Everyone would be doing this. Not everyone wants to go out there working 9 to 5, you know what I mean? But it's because life isn't easy. So if things get hard, you have to be willing to take it on. There's been times I've been walking to uni, there's been times I haven't been eating just so I can make it through, but I've always made sure I've bought a new camera. And sometimes you have to make some sacrifices. It's like with footballers, they sacrifice time so they can go train. And like, whatever you want to do, you have to sacrifice time. Like, while other guys are going out clubbing, getting drunk, you have to be willing to go do your videos, make sure you're consistent. That's another thing that's important, consistency. And the last bit of advice is just don't give up, because if you don't give up, you can never fail. You know what I mean? You never know. You could be blowing in 5 years' time, but if you give up in 2, you'll never reach that 5 years' time. So as long as you don't give up, you will. And also, do it for fun. Don't do it.
That's a really important message, that, because like, so many people forget that you want to enjoy what you're doing. And for me, you know, obviously I'm going to get Mark and us as well about the actual charity element of it, and like where the information is for the game on Sunday. But have fun. Like, I've been doing this sort of stuff like with YouTube and that for about 6-7 months, and I can't say that I haven't enjoyed any. Like, I haven't enjoyed anything. Like, I've enjoyed every single bit of it. But yeah, like, we'll touch about the actual game itself, and we'll get your thoughts ASAP on your team. But Mark, Newcastle Fans TV as well. Firstly, where can people watch this game? And also, are Newcastle Fans TV going to win? I was going to say, are we going to win? I'm going to try and be in the middle here, but are Newcastle Fans TV going to win, and where can people watch it?
So in terms of where people can watch it, it's going to be at Great Park Community Centre. Where's that, sorry? It's Gosforth. So the Great Park, yeah, where all the businesses are, but they've got the community centre there. It's the second time we reached out for them. When we did the first game, we reached out when they gave the pitch for free. They've done it again this time. So a great thank you to them for giving us the pitch again for free. If you want to come along and support. In terms of where you can donate, the links will be on our Facebook page and also on the YouTube links underneath the video. In terms of are we going to win, I'm not going to have anything recorded on there which says yes or no. I think we will have a stronger squad than we did on the first one. And like I said, we've got people who are travelling up from like the other end of the country, like Southampton, just to come and play and raise money for this foundation. And the fact is, it's not because it's a foundation with the name attached to it. It is his foundation. He wanted it. He created it. He put all the hard work in. And that's where I think it's done. I think when we spoke to Liz, they said it's been phenomenal, and they have raised so far £13 million, and that is going to help, and it already is helping those with cancer, whether or not it's treatments or cures or just helping them relax. They're doing their bit to do that. They've said that it's not about stepping on the NHS's toes, it's about giving things that the NHS aren't supplying. So it's a great thing. I'm sure it's going to be a great game. I'm hoping we can improve on the result that we had last season, for one, but let's just go and have some fun.
Yeah, we'll get the last messages to both Lee and ASAP on this one, but Newcastle Fans TV have done a lot of charity work over the years, and just from what I can remember, the Bradley Lowry walk, which affected obviously Sunderland, Newcastle, even football. Like, football has no colours, which people keep, obviously football fans will keep reminded about. And then obviously we did the stuff with the Magpie channel last year with Sir Bob Robson Foundation. That went down really, really well. But ASAP, let's talk about your team. And I know you're not going to give too many secrets away, but are you confident going into the game on Sunday?
So basically, I'm very confident going to the game, because obviously I play football myself, as a lot of my fans will know. And I am a typical African. I'm fast as lightning, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even lying. I teleport on the pitch. So I'm going to be I'm literally going to be a problem for these guys. And no offense to you guys. You are slightly older than us. You know what I mean? Slightly. But obviously you will have the experience. But my pace is going to be such a problem.
We'll just slow the pace down and pass around you.
True. You can try that. But when somebody's teleporting, you know what I mean? It's a bit...
Or just go straight through them.
Yeah, you can go straight through them. But it's easier said than done. But obviously... you guys do have the experience, so I'm not going to underestimate you guys a lot, but obviously I'm quite confident in myself, especially when it comes to sports, and I'm a sore loser, so obviously, like, I'm going to be heartbroken if we lose. Like, I've been telling all my friends we're coming here to smash you guys, show you what's up, but if we get smashed, it's going to be a bit heartbreaking, but life ain't always, sunshine and rainbows.
How are you feeling going into this?
I'm more optimistic against the Borough lot, mind, because from what I'm gathering about the Borough Fan TV, they get beat off walk and pace teams. And obviously we can nick some of your players if they're good, but in all seriously though, turn up, please come along. That's what we want. Your support. It's a Great Park Community Centre, which is in Gosforth. We'll be putting out the social media links all week as well. The more people that turn up, we're going to be selling our Newcastle Fans TV shirts for £1, donating them as well. So any small change that you've got, please come along. It's for a great cause. And if you're not involved in the football, cool, we can get you involved in other types of videos as well. There's all sorts going to be happening on the day, so come along.
Let's get a prediction out of all three of us. We'll start with Mark. Mark, prediction on Sunday?
It'll be a good game and we'll raise money.
That's the most important thing.
Sitting on the fence, as usual.
ASAP, we're going to be raising money, but let's get a prediction out of for the game on Sunday. What do you think it's going to be?
6-2.
6-2 in Newcastle Fans TV or to yourselves?
6-2 to us. 6-3 if you're lucky.
But he said 6-2, and Newcastle Fans TV is the home team, so it's got to be for us.
And Lee, finally.
If Kyle doesn't bring his mate, I think we'll win.
And I just want to say one thing. I feel like you guys have also now opened my mind, because I'm in that position now where I can influence people, and not only for selfish ideas now, I can influence people for good things. I can start helping out with charities, helping communities, and seeing you guys do it, you know what I mean? It makes me believe that I can do it, because and if I ever needed the help from you guys, I know you would be there for me. And I just want to say to you guys, well done for doing this, because a lot of big YouTubers turn into selfish people, but you guys have kept humble and you really do care about the people and not just about yourselves.
Cheers, mate.
Lovely thing to say to end part 2. I think this comment by Paul actually sums up the prediction. Charity's the winner. Part 3, we'll be talking about Rafa Benitez's future and will he stay or will he go?
Right, everyone, we're just going to take another break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Mark off. Yeah. Mark off and then we'll have Paul on and then...
Keep you in for another section.
Got 3 minutes on this tune.
How much, sorry?
3 minutes, I'll just put a track on. I think it fits rather well for the sort of show this song and anyway.
We're beating it. Right, so we're going to be going back to football talk after that break, testing his knowledge on the tune. We're bringing Paul back in as well. We're kicking Mark off for this section. Mark will be back later on. None of the sitting on the fence comments with Paul when he comes on, will he? Definitely not.
Get your comments in. Do you think Rafa Benitez will stay this summer? Well, for the summer, until you can get bringing new players. We've still got ASAP. He's going to be here in part 3. ASAP, you're a Newcastle fan, aren't you?
What? Right, this is complicated. I support 2 teams. Obviously Newcastle, but obviously when I was younger I was a Man United fan.
No, how
But that's where I get so much stick. So I've realised, you know what? You know how people convert religions? I'm going to convert to a Newcastle fan. I'm going to make a video on it, me converting to become the Newcastle fan. It's going to be funny, just for, comedy stuff. But sorry, Man United, we've had a good run, but I feel like, you got to support where you live and your home team, you know what I mean?
We'll just talk about a couple of the Premier League games as well today. Tottenham 2, Everton 2, Arsenal winning 3-1. So Tottenham have just edged Arsenal by a point. So it's Tottenham and Chelsea.
TV, not like that.
No, but Tottenham and Chelsea, we are Tottenham TV boys. Congratulations to them reaching the Champions League final. Do you think they'll win it? Do you think they'll win the Champions League? Or do you think they'll probably be a bit too strong?
I've got the funny feeling Liverpool will. Liverpool could end the season with nothing, even though they've had a fantastic season. But I think Liverpool will do it. I think going forward they've got more than what Tottenham have, because we don't know if Harry Kane's going to be fit. Yes, I know they've got Moura, who's got hat-trick and Son and all that, but I just think Liverpool have got enough going forward. And I'm not just talking the strikers, I'm talking off the bench, I'm talking midfield going forward as well. Liverpool got a bit more for me. That 5-3 the day, that'll be some watch tonight, won't it? Or match of the day.
There's always that one result at the end of the season. Palace versus Bournemouth is the one where there's obviously goals galore. But ASAP, Manchester United lost at home 2-0 to Cardiff.
Team.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's former club. Were you surprised that Man United lost at home to a relegated side?
No, not anymore. Man United, it's been red eyes all season. We had one random good streak, when we started climbing back up. We went above Chelsea and Arsenal, and then we went back to the old ways. I just don't know what's going on with Man United. Obviously, I'm not the biggest football fan. I prefer to play it, or I prefer to actually be there when it's live. But it's just now got to that point where, obviously, acting is my passion. But I do football on a Saturday.
Are you acting now?
What? Obviously. Listen, I'm a top actor. I could be acting, you won't even know it, you know what I mean? I'm a different breed of actor. But Man United is done for me. Oh, you know how to take selfies, alright.
Yeah, we're on the Snapchat, man.
Oh, look at that. Oh, is that young Rex?
Hey, singing.
But Lee, let's just talk about Newcastle quickly. We're talking about Rafa Benitez next in the next part. It's just going to be one of those topsy-turvy summers, isn't it? Whether he's going to actually stay at the club or not, but the quicker the better.
I'd be interested when we get Paul come back through. Does he know that he's come back on?
I hope so.
Do you want us to go and get him, just in case?
Well, he's still on the YouTube.
Oh, there he is. Speak of the devil. I'm sure Paul won't. This fella doesn't sit on the fence, but you just got to remember, Paul, you're on the radio.
How long ago?
Yeah, the camera keeps him around me every single time. Every time before I leave. Be good.
Huh?
That's what she said every time.
Tune in, people. Get your popcorn. Paul is up.
Something good? Live feed?
Look alright. Does it come across as alright?
Yeah.
Sound alright?
Sounds perfect.
With this?
Yeah. Be nice and clear.
I've moved the... Yep.
Welcome back to part 3, and it's all about Rafa Benitez, the Newcastle manager. Well, he's just about Newcastle manager because his contract runs out in the summer. We've still got ASAP, we've got Paul, he's replaced Mark. Didn't think that'll be a substitution I'd ever say. Talk about football, but and we've also got Lee as well. let's talk about Rafa Benitez, Paul. I know you've been waiting desperately in the back to tell us your thoughts on this, but Newcastle win 4-0. Rafa Benitez said in his press conference tonight, while Mike Ashley attended his first game in God knows how long, that there will be a meeting next week with Mike Ashley and probably Lee Charnley as well. What do you think Rafa Benitez will be saying to Mike Ashley and Lee Charnley to say, look, this is what I want to keep me at the club? So is it just investment, or do you think there's a lot more to it than just investment in the playing squad?
Yeah, it goes a lot deeper than that. The trouble is, what he's wanting is just the tools to do the job. It's not being unreasonable, and I've seen stories today in the press about huge pay rises for Rafa, and I just don't think it's down to that. Trying to get through to these two men is like trying to communicate with Mars. It really is that difficult, you know. As for the meeting, I will believe it when I see it. Obviously, it came out about the holiday and stuff, because he actually promised them a bit of a mucky weekend away, didn't he?
Vegas.
To Vegas,
That's
yeah.
what Sheffield United lads are.
Yeah, it goes to say it all, doesn't it? But he can't be bothered to do that. He can't be bothered to take them even around the corner for a mucky weekend in a caravan to Margate. He's just given them an extra few quid. He's just paid them off, doesn't he?
What does Rafa want though, Paul? Is there a particular thing that he wants from Mike Ashley?
I think what he wants is he wants the club to operate like the rest of his rivals who he's competing against for players. He wants things to run a lot more smoother, slicker. He wants decisions to be made and not have all these layers of management with your Keith Bishops and the PR and the spin and this and that and your Lee Charnleys and stuff. What he's wanting is just to make common sense decisions to improve the football team and to improve our club week on week, month by month, season by season. Because make no doubt about it, if this man goes and we get Alan Pardew-esque, Mark Hughes, somebody like that, just shut shop up, because it's literally going to go. I've got to be careful with what I say, but at the end of the day, Rafa just wants the basics to do the job right, to be able to make footballing decisions and to make us better and improve us.
Definitely. Look, Rafa wants improvements in the training ground, improvement in the academy, and we saw 2 academy lads today on the bench for Newcastle.
That was a political statement. I'll just add to that. As soon as you saw the fact that Mike Ashley was there, he's got 2 of the young lads on the bench. He's got the likes of Dummett, who's in the team as well. But you've got to remember, Rafa he's a political man. He's very careful about what he says and how he says it. So them 2 lads being on that bench today, with Ashley being there, it's just like, look, I am showing you. I've said it. Other people have said it. Now I'm showing you. You can save money if you do it my way. So yeah, political statement totally. I felt.
Yeah, definitely. And Lee, let's talk about the academy, and the fact they want the training ground to be better. In my opinion, Leicester City are a smaller football club than Newcastle United, but Leicester City are getting the state-of-the-art training ground and look like they want to go places. Wolves want to do the same as well.
Everybody wants bungalows. We all want bungalows, isn't that?
I don't want a bungalow.
Everybody wants a bungalow.
Why do you want a bungalow for, Paul?
Because we've got it and we do so well. Just stick a paddle and pool out the front. We're all right. Sticky plaster.
Well, Lee, let's lose the analogy then. Well, let's move out the bungalow and let's try and move into.
Move in a house.
Well, a semi-detached.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
It's a big summer, innit? Look, we think Rafa's gonna sign. What's in the terms of the contract? God, I bet it's about 10 pages long. 1.2, 1.3 under all these terms and conditions. Look, what we want is we don't want just a lick of paint. There you go. Thank you very much. It smells nice for 2 days and then it rots. We want. Look, I think what Rafa wants is facility-wise. He wants better equipment. He's into his science. He's into his technology. He'll want that. I think when the weather is bad as well, because we've got this indoor dome, it doesn't really get much TLC. So he wants all of that. Youth development, I think it's actually, I know it's, Paul, you said it's political. I think it's good to see Lewis Cass and Kellen Watts on the bench, because we are screaming out. We've seen Sean Longstaff come in this season. We are screaming for more and more Geordies to come in. Lewis Cass is from your neck of the woods, North Shields lad. Nice, he can play right back, left back if he needs to. Callum Watts can play midfield and defence, so it's good. I want to see that in pre-season. We know we talk about Sorensen, but you don't want Rafa to heavily rely on the youth for coming in, because Rafa doesn't really play many youngsters. He doesn't. The history tells you Longstaff's probably a one-off. You think of any other player that's come through the youth setup since Rafa Benitez has been here, Longstaff is just the only one. There's Victor Fernandez has been injured, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to money. Rafa Benitez wants money to buy. Yes, it's good that these young players are on the bench, but we shouldn't rely on it. It's good that we want them breaking through, but you want to go and splash the cash and get us into that top 10 regularly.
Definitely. I'm just looking at some of the comments ASAP. I think that myself and you could do better than Christian Atsu. Well, with your pace and my footballing ability, I think that's a match made in heaven, isn't it?
You're a goalkeeper.
Are you a keeper?
Oh, I'm an average goalkeeper, yeah. Average goal.
Is he going to be playing in goal for you guys?
You'll soon find out, will you?
Alright, sweet. Like that.
Who knows? But ASAP, let's just talk about Newcastle. Mike, actually, I know obviously you've mentioned obviously you try and keep up to date with football as much as you can, so I'll make sure it's an easier question. If you were a Newcastle fan, would you want Mike Ashley to stay at this football club? And do you think that Mike Ashley is capable of getting Rafa Benitez tied down to a contract?
If I was basically, this is going to be based off what I've been told from when I'm doing my interviews and what all the other fans are saying to me. It seems like, I'll keep it clean. But it seems like Mike Ashley is more of a businessman. He wants to make money, capitalist, all about the money. You know what I'm saying? So, if it would be more to just get a better owner than Mike Ashley. But if he did try to keep Rafa Benitez down, it would probably be whatever makes him the most money is whatever will be put in that contract. You know what I mean? I feel like obviously he will care for the club to a certain extent, but I think he cares more about the money than the club, and that's not what you want as an owner. Like when you look at some teams, they've got owners who are clearly businessmen, but they care for the club, so they put...
Yeah, you want that emotional connection, don't you, as well?
You know what I mean? They care for the club.
Yeah.
And if they can put into that club that love as well, it can change. Like Newcastle is a great home ground, but it's still, there is improvements needed to be made. Like you can see rust all over the place, and like it's a great building. And since Mike Ashley's got the money, I know he's got the money, but he's just choosing to make more money instead of putting it in Newcastle. So I feel like if Mike Ashley is going to stay, you'll need to get more of a better connection to the club. And
if you believe Mike Ashley, of course, is close to £2 billion worth of assets,
and he's losing, and he's hemorrhaging.
He is, yeah. I mean, poor lad. He's still the North East top, on the rich list, but he's losing money. And I know that across the North East now, all the smallest violins are going to be coming out, just playing a bit of a sad song for Mike Ashley.
Paul, let's talk about Mike Ashley in Newcastle, because at the end of the 2007-8 season, which probably seems like a million years ago, Spurs finished 12th and Newcastle finished 13th. Okay, now you look at the next few years, Tottenham are now in the Champions League final after they showed a little bit of ambition by spending a little bit of money. Newcastle have been up, they've been down, they've been up, they've been down, and they've just finished 13th this season in 2019, 12 years ago. Why did Newcastle not have the ambition of Tottenham? Because Tottenham were no bigger than Newcastle back then, in my opinion, or not massively bigger back then.
Never were Man City.
Exactly, and how has it gone full circle that Tottenham have got a new stadium, arguably probably the best stadium in England, and now a team that are in the Champions League final, and Newcastle are over the moon with only just getting beat off Liverpool 3-2?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to remember Spurs are different to the likes of Man City. Man City, let's be honest, they've gone out and they've bought it. They've just bought. They've splashed the cash, and that is how they've got there. They've got the most direct route. Spurs, on the other hand, have had to sell, but then what they've really done, and what the likes of Levy's really done really well, is that money is being reinvested back into the stadium, into the players, and he's got a plan at Newcastle United. And this is the greatest problem with the likes of Lee Charnley. Yeah, there is a constipation of the ideas. All you hear is verbal diarrhea from Charnley, constantly verbal diarrhea from Mike Ashley, drivel, no plan, no nothing, constipation of the ideas. Levy has thought outside of the box, and what's that got them? It's got them a brand new stadium. It's got them into the Champions League final. Now, when I was at school, we were miles ahead of them. Then you talk about when Ashley came along, and we were probably neck and neck.
Yeah, when we at school, Paul.
92 to 97 for all them who's listening. But
I don't think ASAP was born, were you?
What
year were you born in?
19 1930. I mean,
1930, there we go.
1998. 1998,
Paul.
Yeah.
So see, I was finishing secondary school at that time, so that puts it into perspective. But, like I said, you've got to make good, solid business decisions, and you've got to reinvest that money in. And with just a little bit of common sense, joined up thinking, you can really, really push on. And Spurs are the absolute model that we should be, following. I've said about that side, I'd like us to copy, and I'd also like us to have a bit of an Ajax model with some more Geordie DNA in the club, with technical directors and people who actually know what they're talking about, instead of the likes of Mike Ashley, who knows nothing about Newcastle United. I want Newcastle United people in that club. I want your Tamuri Ketspires, I want your Alberto Solanos, I want your Lee Clarks, I want your Steve Watsons, I want Shea Given. I want these sorts of people in technical roles. So somebody's looking after youth development, somebody's looking at finances, somebody's looking at all the individual aspects that make up the running of a successful club, because clearly Charnley is inept.
Carl Aspinall commented saying that Mike Ashley only cares about his own pocket and not the club. I think a lot of people would agree with that comment. Lee, well, let's just say Rafa Benitez and Lee Charnley and Mike Ashley come to some sort of agreement, and then it doesn't happen for whatever reason. Has Rafa Benitez got any clubs that are like going to be going, I want to get him, that we're close to, we want to get a new manager? Because I've not really heard any rumours that Rafa Benitez is going to leave for another football club. There's obviously been murmurs about what happens with Maurizio Sarri, but let's be honest, Rafa Benitez and Chelsea, it doesn't look like they're going to sack Thomas Tuchel anytime soon. But
I'd have him in there if I was them sort of owners. No brainer, absolutely no brainer. Get somebody like Rafa in.
But that's not been mentioned at all in the press. So Lee, does Rafa only have Newcastle as an option if he wants to be continuing management or club management in August?
No chance he'll have loads. I think you don't hear about a lot of the stories for a reason, because the likes of, let's say, national papers, or we shall not name, come up with daft stories all the time.
£15 million a year.
So, you're talking about, what was the wage, 250,000? That's, Rafa's on, 97, 98 at the minute. I think his family heavily influences where he goes as well, because he's got two more or less Scousers now. His daughters are Scousers from the Wirral. They're settled, they're in uni, and he's obviously, his missus does great charity work in Liverpool. You'll not want to up and leave his family and go to work in Italy, or even China's been muted as well. I think if he was to leave Newcastle, he'll be inundated. I think he fancies the Spain job. I've said that before, 12 months ago, because it's part-time. I think he'll do that at home. He can obviously travel. There's a lot of Spanish players in the Premier League. That's the one job that would probably just tore his little heart a little bit. That might, I fancy that if he wasn't at Newcastle. But it's very UK-based. People, the Celtic one. I could see the Celtic one happening. But if he wasn't at Newcastle though, let's just say he was out of a job, I could see him going to a Celtic, because it's UK and it's only like an hour and a half away from here.
The only reason why I don't think he'd go to Celtic, I think, look at Brendan Rodgers as being at Celtic for 2.5, nearly 3 years, and he was winning every single competition in Scotland. I think they lost one game in about 75, and domestically, it's not really a massive achievement.
I think he'll go further in the Champions League than what Celtic would though.
Possibly, but could he do the same stuff with Scott Sinclair and Tom Rogic and Odsonne Edouard? I watched Celtic today against Rangers, and Celtic were way off it.
Well, what's stopping the likes of Fabian Schär going to Celtic if he wasn't signed for Newcastle? Rafa can find, Martin Dubravka would go to Celtic if he didn't come to Newcastle. He can find them. So I think it'll be UK based if he was to leave, and I've got no qualms. If he left and said, this is not for me, I'll go, you know what, Rafa, I'll shake your hand, you've done well for us, and I'll actually congratulate him.
If you get to September, October, you can sit at home. September, October, one of the big teams, I don't know, you can name any of them, like to Chelsea, they've hit a bit of bad form, and you've got a Rafa Benitez who's sat at home, be an absolute no-brainer. And I think I do not think he would be scared to sit at home and wait for the right opportunity, and that's what it just makes it more and more unbelievable that we are just dithering away. And we've looked down, we thought, there's 6 months to go, then there's 10 games, then there's 5, then there's 4, 3, all the way down to 0 games, and we've still not signed this man up.
I think, like I say, the only one that worries me is the Spain job. at the moment. Right now,
Yeah.
if Spain come knocking from now, Wellesley's hovering. Oh, I don't know if I'm signing on for Newcastle. And Spain come knocking and say, Rafa, this is part time for you. You can stay at home in the world, but you can do this 12 games a year. That's the only one. But everything else, I'm confident you'll stay, me.
ASAP, there was a comment below, I forget the name, I think it was Kai, I do apologise if it wasn't right. If Rafa Benitez stays and gets the investment, can Newcastle win the FA Cup in the next 2 seasons?
Yeah, 100%. Newcastle is a team with passion and support, and I feel like the Spurs and Manchester City is a good show of how money can work, but passion can also work. So even though Man City have all that money, are they in the Champions League final? No. Who is Spurs? You know what I mean? So it shows that passion, and Newcastle has, like, even though I was a Manchester United fan, I know.
What? Say that again?
I mean, sorry about that, yeah. But I've never met fans like Newcastle fans. Like, the passion, no matter where they are, they will always be there supporting, screaming, whether they're crying, whether they're cheering. They will.
Why are you looking at me for?
What? Because you're always there as well.
Like, the thing is, if you want to see crying for football fans, you need to check Netflix out. There's a good series on there where there's a little bit of crying.
Oh, that team's different, you know, Sunderland. But let's not talk about them because, you know, I meant to keep this PG. You know what I mean? But I feel like we could definitely win that cup because Newcastle have the passion.
I like how you're saying we now.
Yeah, obviously. Like, no, I am a Geordie. I'm the black Geordie. You know what I mean? That's who I am. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of black people here try to act like they're from London, but why? Forget London, fam. They're boring. Newcastle is a different city, and I feel like the passion we have, even the team has that passion. If we just have the right investments, the right moves, we can do anything. Like, when you look at teams like who was it who won? Leicester won, and look where they are now. You know what I mean? They showed a bit of passion for a season, and look what they did. And you can see they're not the best team in the world.
Watford.
What?
Watford. Yeah.
You know what I mean? See what passion. When talent works hard, the opposite end suffer. You know what I mean? You can put as much money as you want, but you can't pay for talent and passion. You know what I mean? As long as you have the right heart where it is, it will come forward. And I'm telling you, even like the youths in it, because I know some of the players on the academy players. In the upcoming time, Adam Wilson and Mo Sangari, you heard it here first. Yeah, they're gonna make a big difference.
Well, Mo Sangari is already playing for his country.
You know what I mean? So, like, these guys are talented people, but obviously you can't always only rely on the youths. You've got to spend money and get some new players in, and you know what I mean? But I definitely think we could win another cup for Newcastle, could bring one home.
But the thing is, if, isn't it? It's a magic word.
Yeah, if Mike Ashley realises that he loves Newcastle, if he gets that love, like, it's not impossible.
You'll never have that.
You'll never have it, yeah, but...
He hates us, he hates Geordies.
Christmas, you know, is a time for good. If we all pray, us Geordies all pray, and a miracle, Christmas miracle happens next season, and Mike Ashley...
Is this a video idea you've got going on or something?
Not even. Everyone can change, you know what I mean? People can change, you never know.
No,
you never know.
Not Mike Ashley.
Maybe not Mike Ashley, but
we
got
said
a hope.
Isaac Hayden certainly changed this season from that beginning of the season to second part, but I think with Mike Ashley it might just be a little bit too much of a stretch. I just wish he'd do what the likes of Alice Short did and put the interests of the club first, sell up, get whatever money you can for it, and give it to somebody who's actually going to put that blood, sweat and tears into the club.
Why is it so difficult to sell this club?
I don't think it really is. I don't think it is.
Exactly.
I don't think it is. I just think that you can look at it one or two ways. People might think, "Oh, Poison Chalice managing Newcastle, very passionate fans. You make one bad mistake, you see what they're like." However, no one's looking at the positives. If you get that club going right, and I think I'm going to put this question to Paul because I know he likes to talk about Mike Ashley and takeovers a lot. But if someone gets it right, they could be a god at Newcastle. And I think for me, this summer is a massive make or break for the football club. Because if Newcastle don't tie down Rafa Benitez and get a manager that doesn't work well, Newcastle could be playing Championship football next season. Paul, for you, is this the biggest summer for Newcastle in about, let's just say, since Kevin Keegan was at Newcastle since he left the football club?
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. We are primed for a takeover. I do think, 300 to 350 million pound when you're considering what Chelsea has been rumoured to go for. If somebody comes in, pays that 300 million pound ish figure, again, put your you're over a couple of £100 million worth of infrastructure improvements, transfers, that sort of thing. It's still a snip compared to the likes of Chelsea. It's absolutely huge. We are just prime for a takeover, but comes back to that ego of Mike Ashley. Will he ever get his teeth out of the club? And to be honest, I think he just gets some sort of kick. I mean, why did he turn up today? You can't help but think it's PR, it's spin, it's got Keith Bishop all over it. He's not showed up for months, then all of a sudden he shows up, all looking smart. He's there with the players and this, that and the other. It just doesn't wash with me whatsoever. It's massive. We are at the crossroads now. We can either get Rafa tied down, make some good common sense decisions and push on into that top half of the table and have a go at the cups. For the love of Christ, a cup run, please. Or we'll lose him and we'll get Alan Pardew Mark II, whether that's Pardew, whether that's Mark Hughes. It'll be somebody like that, a yes man, and we will head down. Mark my words, if we don't get this man, Rafa Benitez, signed down straight away, we are heading towards the championship, because whoever else they bring in, it is an absolute poison chalice. Who is going to come in there, and have the fans on side? If he doesn't sign season tickets, which player is going to want to come here thinking, oh my word,
talking about a player, one of the commenters is just saying, would you sign Ryan Babel from Fulham? He was actually on the bench for Fulham today, didn't get much of a kick today, but I personally wouldn't. I think age has just passed him. I know he's played well for Fulham, but I just don't think he suits this sort of...
Answer this one though, is he better than Christian Atsu?
That's exactly what I was about to say.
He is, but if you're looking for the future...
Sign him.
Yeah, but like I say, so is my gran. It's about the quality, and it's about making these common sense decisions, and that's what the likes of Spurs do so well. Right, we've got a player here, we're going to sell him to Man United, we're going to make absolutely boatloads of money of it, but every penny is going to go back to the manager, and we're going to improve on the players that we've got. We're going to take that next step forward, and step by step, if the Newcastle support can see that there is a plan and they are trying, we will get behind whoever it is 100%.
It's a fascinating debate, and I'd just like to thank ASAP for being here. We're going to get into a short break. We're going to talk about the Premier League just as a general rounder between a hell of a season, but my thanks to ASAP. He'll be at the charity game on Sunday afternoon. Make sure you come along, make sure you donate. All the links will be in the description from Newcastle Fans TV and the Original African.
Can I just say one thing? Yeah, literally, we just need someone to see Newcastle as a long-term investment. Yeah, you might spend a lot of money at the start, but in the long run, it can lead to bigger things. You know what I mean? When you see the talent, the future Newcastle's got, and if you put that into Newcastle, they will return it to you. You know what I mean? We've got the fans, we've got the players. Let's do it.
He's definitely gone from Man United to Newcastle after that comment. It's a Premier League roundup on part 4.
We've converted him.
I'm being converted.
Right, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Right, everyone, we're taking another ad break.
Did really well, mate. Did really well. Get yourself back on. Get your reaction for how you get to by Newcastle fans too. Don't worry. So we'll come around to you and we'll do a quick thing on it. Whatever.
Oh, let's jump.
So you got me and Paul just while we've got the ad break. I know, look at us, aren't they? Just while we've got the ad break in, we're talking about the Premier League in the next bit. Manchester City champions, Liverpool just missing out. Has this been the best title race ever, or has it just been too easy for both teams, really?
Tell you what the best title running ever was. It was when Newcastle were up there. That was the best. I know it ended in a heartbreak, but it must be gutting to be a Liverpool supporter tonight. To lose one match and not to win the league title is absolutely gutting. There'll be loads of tears down on Merseyside tonight. I said though after the Newcastle match recently, that left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I expected and I wanted Man City to win. They did win it. Even when Glenn Murray scored, I nearly choked. I thought, could this happen? But no, common sense prevailed in the end, and Man City worthy winners, despite the fact that a certain Newcastle United beat them.
Newcastle were the only team in 2019 to beat them in the league. Tottenham beat them in the Champions League, obviously, and they've obviously Tottenham through the final, but Newcastle were the only team to do that.
You won't hear that on Sky Sports, but you'll hear it here, because they do that though all the time. The likes of Sky, they won't give us the credit. They'll knock us if we play defensive tactics like against Chelsea and stuff like that. But they never, ever give Newcastle credit. But I think that match and the entire team deserves so much, you know, for the performance, for the result, for the way that they dug in, the atmosphere and everything, because that was the key to the season. That one, it really was.
Definitely changed the season. We're going to take a little break because we're going to be back on very shortly. But keep your comments rolling in. What were your opinions on the Premier League? And we're also going to be talking about the moment of the season. Who was the best player, the best game? And we might even mention Sunderland. All for that to come in the next 45 minutes or so.
Any chances on you've got an iPhone charger with you?
I do.
You'd be able to stick my phone on charge for... Well, he's like, yeah, mate, I forgot my friggin' charger. I'll bring out my bag of wires and I forgot my charger.
That's another thought of it.
Quid saved my life.
Sorry?
That's another thought of it.
Whenever I go out for work or to see friends.
Get your comments in and what did you make of ASAP? What do you make of the original African? He's been he's been top quality, hasn't he been, Paul?
Yeah.
20 seconds left on this.
Absolutely brilliant. Different different ideas, but I hope he loses in the game next week.
We're back on in a couple of seconds.
Premier League, that we're chatting about. Going to do all sorts of stuff in the season. Yeah, season more of the season.
Welcome back to part 4 of the Football Fan Zone here on NE1 FM. I was going to say NE1 MF there, I think. Been a long.
How have you been doing this for 7 weeks? Come on.
I know, so we're trying to get this right, shouldn't I? Yeah, we're going to be talking about the Premier League. We've got Mark, we've got Lee and Paul still with us. Let's give a big, massive round of applause and congratulations to Manchester City.
Mouse clap. Goes back to my school training, that, you know, I went on a course to do mouse claps.
Between 1992 and 1997, as Paul's mentioned. Yeah, Manchester City are the champions, Mark. 4 winners over Brighton on the final day. Then Murray did give Brighton the lead. I think there's anything he did on the pitch, to be honest, but it's a goal.
I think he's older than me.
Just. But yeah, Brighton did make it a little bit edgy, but a little bit nervy for about 80 seconds, and then Aguero equalised. Did you always feel confident and comfortable that Manchester City were probably going to do enough today?
Yeah, I think when you look, especially over like 2 months, yeah, both sides haven't lost a match there. You just couldn't see it. And I'm not being funny, but if Man City wanted a final game of the season, they would have looked and thought, "Oh, hang on, Brighton, yeah, we'll do that." Looking at it, I actually thought maybe Wolves was the harder game. Yeah, of that. Yeah, Man City are just Man City. They look unstoppable, except for in Europe. But
and St James's Park.
You get it. But yeah, it was a bit of like a damn swift finish. Yeah, there wasn't any excitement. There wasn't any twists or turns. It was just Man City won, Liverpool won, Newcastle won.
That's all that matters, that Newcastle win, doesn't it?
Exactly. And I think it's our first away win on the last game of the season since the 70s. Paul might remember them.
Are you getting some stick tonight, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, I don't think Mark's going to make it out this studio. I mean, I want to kneecap him.
Well, the only thing is, out of the 4 of us, I'm the youngest on here, so like I'm not going to get anything from the 70s or even the 80s.
Doesn't look the youngest though.
Right, Paul, let's talk about Manchester City. 1 defeat in 15. Who was that defeat against, you know? Some certain Newcastle United Rafa Benitez. Apart from that performance, the fact that Newcastle managed to help Liverpool, do you have to give credit to Manchester City, regardless of how much money they've spent? But 14 wins from the last 14 games, not really giving Liverpool a sniff. Hats off to them, or is it just because they have got the best squad?
Yeah, you've got to look at it. It's been an intriguing, but more like a chess battle rather than any sort of blood and guts and all that side of it. You've got to take your hat off to them. Yeah, Man City, we all know, they buy the league every single time. But so have Liverpool. Liverpool have spent a lot of money as well. A lot of money. When you think of what one of their centre backs,
Van Dijk and just the goalkeeper alone in the last 12 months, that's over 100 million.
Yeah, but that money was spent by them selling Coutinho. So they've spent their money by selling, so theirs is more of an investment, whereas Man City.
Like Charlie, doesn't he?
No, but that's why I think I just think Liverpool need to get more praise for what they've done, because they haven't had these
praise for diving.
These stadium deals paid for by whoever to get the money into the club and get around things. Allegedly, yeah. But I just think Liverpool need to have the credit that they deserve. Yes, I think Man City do, because you've got to buy the you've got to buy the players, and the players have got to play together, and they do play some fantastic football. But it's one of the things. Has there been probably this season only where the second place finished team has finished on 97 points and not won it?
It's a valid point for sure. I'm just going to put a little Newcastle twist in. Holly has his comment saying Newcastle United will never be defeated today. Liverpool 97 points, Manchester City 98 points. The goal difference about 5 goals in it. Lee, Virgil van Dijk, Alisson have made a huge difference. Mo Salah and Sadio Mane both have 22 goals this season, joint with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. They would have won the league every single season while they lost 2 to Manchester City. Have Liverpool just lost the league to the greatest ever Premier League side?
What, Man City the greatest?
Because I think they are. I think Man City.
Well, they got more points last year because they got over 100 in the last game of the season. Gabriel Jesus scored quite late on, last minute, wasn't it? But this Liverpool side, the best that I've seen in my lifetime. I know Liverpool have won the treble in the domestic cups and the UEFA Cup. But for me, this is the best side I've seen. You talk about those front three, everyone goes on about that. You talk about Wijnaldum having the season of his life. Trent Alexander-Arnold, for me, is the best right back in the world.
Not Manquillo.
No, not Manquillo. I think he's ahead of Kyle Walker. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold can do so much more. I think he will then become England's first choice right back. Robertson,
good goalkeeper as well, isn't he?
He was.
Good goalie.
Robertson is just gone. Robertson's probably the most improved player at Liverpool. You talk about Van Dijk, he's just another. He's like a general, he's like a leader, and he's so calm under pressure. Alisson, I don't think Alisson's been as good as Edison, but I think Alisson's is so well. Anyone's an improvement on Mignolet and Karius, but
21 clean sheets for Alisson.
But I don't just think that's the goalkeeper. I think, don't get me wrong, he's been a hell of a buy, but I just don't think you don't see him have a worldie, do you? That's because he's got the defence in front of him, whereas other players, goalkeepers down the league, have to have a worldie. But there's so many. You know, Origi's a squad player. He would be our first choice in our 11.
I also think Matip's stepped up, especially towards the end of the season, where there was a lot of probably concern from the Liverpool fans over Matip. He's really, really stepped up and impressed. And I think probably one of his best games wasn't even in the Premier League, but it was the home game against Barcelona, where he was probably better than Van Dijk. So
Shaqiri off the bench.
Shaqiri on the bench. Sturridge when he's fit. It's not often, but even when you look at like Milner, who's probably like a squad player now, they've got it. But then you look at Man City and who they can bring off the bench. It's
football manager-esque, isn't it, for them?
And we just wish we could bring those players on the benches. We'd love to have in our first team.
Definitely, and Paul, Liverpool have only lost one game this season. That was against Manchester City. The fact that they only took 1 point off Manchester City is probably the reason why they're not going to win the league or why they didn't win the league rather. Does that just show that you've got to try and get points? You've got to try and get 4 points rather than 1 point against the likes of Man City if you want to win the title. Because yes, they've been beaten 4 times and one of them was against Newcastle. But if you don't take team points around from you, because you look at Liverpool, took 1 point off City. Only drew at Arsenal, drew at Chelsea, drew at Man United. The list goes on.
Margins. It is. It's small margins and it's mentality at them key times, isn't it? I do think Man City have got a slightly better squad, and maybe when there's been injuries and loss of form, they can call upon more players than maybe what Liverpool can. I think Liverpool again will spend for definite. They will come back stronger. Man City will come back stronger. So it's just another roll of the dice. But it comes down to mentality, and also Man City have been there. They've got the T-shirt, and that means a lot because you look at them in Europe where they haven't been there, got that, got the T-shirt, and it's a different kettle of fish. Where Liverpool have been to the final and do know what they're on about.
And the 4 Premier League titles now in 7 years. Is this becoming more than just a trend? Do you think that Manchester City could possibly catch the likes of Liverpool, Manchester United with the way they're going?
Well, that just depends if we get another billionaire owner that comes in. Look, money doesn't guarantee success, but it definitely helps. They have got a much better coach than Pep Guardiola, one of the world's best. But I'd like to say Pep Guardiola struggle in the Championship side and try and get them up. That's the real testament for me if you're a world-class manager. Some people might say Mourinho did it with Porto, winning the Champions League, elevated himself, but he won it with a lesser side. So who knows about but I do think he's definitely helping, and I think he's what's a right phrase, I've got to say this carefully, he's grooming Mikel Arteta into a coach as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if Mikel Arteta leaves in 2 or 3 years and goes wins things, because he's a born winner and he demands. And I would not like him as my boss. I wouldn't, because he's so demanding on you.
Yeah, definitely. I think they were arguing about the fact that the pitch hadn't had enough water on at some point.
The small details.
Yeah, and that's the difference between the two teams. Those absolutely minute details are the difference between Manchester City and Liverpool. And it's a shame. You would like to see a different name on the Premier League trophy. You don't want to see the same. And even like the end of this season, there hasn't been as much drama and stuff as what's normally there. You want drama, you want twists, you want turns, but the quality has been so high, so high this year.
But you're looking at this year and you're going, well, who's going to challenge City next year? If there's anyone, it's Liverpool. I can't see Man U doing it for a while.
I expect Spurs to spend this time. I know they haven't all season. You see Pochettino crying his little eyes out the other night. I expect them to go crazy this summer. I really do. I expect them to spend over 100. I definitely.
They'll be attractive to players as well, won't they? Because
Pochettino will not have another summer without no money being spent.
I think they might spend money, but I don't think they're going to go crazy. But you've got to remember that they've got a heck of a debt to repay from the stadium, which was the same sort of predicament that Arsenal found themselves in. So they might strengthen, but I don't think they'll go crazy on there, because I don't think Daniel Levy's that type of chairman.
He doesn't half sound like Lee Charnley.
Tottenham weren't actually the best team in London this year. It was actually Chelsea who finished third by a point.
And funny enough, their fans want their manager out.
Well, Maurizio Sarri's been under a lot of pressure. He is in the Europa League final against Arsenal, while Liverpool take on the other North London team in Tottenham a couple of days later. Chelsea, right. Is Eden Hazard going to be in a blue shirt, Paul, next season, or do you think that maybe he's going to be off to Real Madrid regardless if this transfer ban doesn't happen?
They can't afford to lose him. It's as simple as that. Because of this ban, I would rather, if I was a Chelsea supporter, I would rather keep all of them, keep him in, and lose them for nothing. It's not as if they're short of a few quid. They can afford to do that. If that was in our position for Newcastle, a player in his last year of his contract, in this sort of situation, we would have to sell. But Chelsea is a different kettle of fish. They're not shy of money. And then, obviously, he'll stay the next season, be out of contract, move on. Chelsea will be able to trade again, and then they'll bring in a replacement. But I see it being a very difficult season for them next year with this, obviously, the situation around the ban and everything. They've got lots of players coming back. They'll have to rely on the likes of Kennedy as squad players and stuff, aren't they? Because they can't bring anybody else in.
Good luck with that. Lee, Wolves, best of the rest, finishing 7th. They've just got starting 11 wise, they've got such a good starting 11 if they're all fit. Matinho, Neves. I think Neves is actually could go into Man City's squad, and I think he'd look comfortable.
He probably will.
Connor Cody, Willy Bolly, Rui Patricio, the spine of Wolves' team is probably the reason. Yeah, Jota, Jimenez, they've just spent £30 million. I'm going to repeat that. Wolverhampton Wanderers have just spent £30 million on a striker, and Newcastle, it's probably record transfers still. Michael Owen on 16 million at the minute or whatever. But Almiron, yeah, of course. Lee, do you think that Wolves were the best of the rest? Does the table not lie, or do you feel maybe an Everton, a Leicester, a Watford, a West Ham probably look at that and go, a bit disappointed that we didn't finish 7th?
Well, the one thing that Wolves do need to improve on is the pre-match. I'm just look. Paul's looking at me. For people who are listening on the radio, Christ, it was like a disco. It was like a disco. It was like, blooming hell, what's going on here?
It was like some of WWE, wasn't it? The lights, the daft music. You just needed somebody in face paints running in, and you'd have had the lot.
But in all
better with the Premier.
yeah, in all seriousness, it's a hell of an achievement. Yes, I know. Funny, there's a trend tonight. Money getting spent. If the money wasn't spent, Wolves would have not finished 7th. But to get Europa League in your first season and get promoted is a phenomenal achievement. And what they got the semi-final of the was it the FA Cup as well?
Semi-final of the FA Cup.
So
which Watford won.
it's a great achievement, and they've got some attacking flair. It worries me again because what's the type of calibre player are they going to go after in the summer? Are they going to be? They're in a higher market than us. They're going to be in a lot higher market.
By the looks of the previous signings.
Well, it is. They're in a higher market than us, and again, I know it's fault coming back to Newcastle and what we have and stuff, but it's refreshing in one aspect because it's a new side in the Premier League, and you haven't got the likes of Everton. I mean, Everton will be kicking themselves. They spent all that money, and West Ham spending, as you've said, Paul, earlier on, just 44 million, whatever it was, and just on one player. For them to be mid-table, they should be in those two clubs should be your 7th and 8th every year, spending all that money.
It's a good point from Lawrence in the comments here. He says, Wolves and Fulham spent a lot of money, and probably some people actually maybe thought Fulham actually had a really good transfer window. In that sense, maybe Wolves actually got a couple of bargains. Mark, do you think that maybe it's not how much money you spend, but how you actually spend it, and that's maybe where people maybe look at Mike Ashley in Newcastle and go, maybe he's doing it the correct way if I'm playing devil's advocate.
I had a feeling that you were going to ask this type of question there just for the likes of Paul. It does show that money doesn't always deliver success. Yeah, Fulham's the prime example of that. If you also look at this season, yeah, Fabian Schär, who's probably a bargain. Yeah, if we look at Dubravka, again bargain. But that's just a couple of players. You can't do it all the time. You are going to need to spend big, as we've seen with the likes of Almiron and Rondon. 16 million in this day's market is I think Mike Ashley's still in the dark ages where 16 million was a world record transfer fee. It is a small amount of money, especially for a calibre of player. Money doesn't always work. West Ham's probably there, Everton's probably part of that, but Everton did finish in the top half, so it's worked to some level there. It's one of those things. You do need to spend money, but I think you need to be careful on how you do it, and don't just buy mercenaries.
And we should be. Like we said, it's not the size of the kitty, it's how you use it, isn't it? But it's at the end of the day, Newcastle United should have enough money to be able to say, if we want to buy 10 small transfers or just 1 or 2 large transfers, we should be able to compete with the likes of Bournemouth, and we shouldn't have to be constantly going over thinking to ourselves about spreadsheets and balancing this, that and the other when we're being outgunned by, don't even look at your West Hams and stuff, Bournemouth.
This summer, for the first time in probably a long time, as fans will want depth this time. Because it's great that we've got the first 11, which is almost settled by 2 or 3 players. You probably want those replaced and then have a better bench. So obviously, you mentioned Ryan Babel. He'd be great off the bench. Not to saying go for Ryan Babel, but you get the idea behind it. Have an upgraded bench. So when there's injuries and when there's concerns, dip perform. Right, okay, let's take you out.
Yeah, because look at Rondon. If he had been injured for 5-6 months, we would have had Joselu. We would have to have played him up front.
But then again, you're saying about upgrading the bench. Why can't we upgrade the first 11 and then those that have been in the 11 can go on the bench? So you've automatically improved the bench and you've automatically improved the starting 11.
What I mean by those 2 or 3, you need DeAndre Edlin replaced. That's no disrespect to him or Manquillo. That right back is a concern and teams are targeting. So maybe spend 15-20 million on a quality first choice right back, and then maybe if we're going to play the wing back, maybe get a dedicated left wing back and so on, but improve the bench as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to read a couple of comments out. Southampton should have a better season, says Kai. Yeah, I finished 16th. I think Hasenhüttl did an okay job. Let's see what he can do in the summer. James Furt.
Southampton want to spend 30 million on Mitrovic.
I don't think that'll happen. If Rafa was in charge at Fulham, they would have finished top 10 this season. Controversial, maybe. They've had
sign Mitrovic, though, would they?
Definitely wouldn't have signed Mitrovic. Let's just touch about the bottom of the Premier League. 35 points would have kept you up this season, Lee. Newcastle were safe ages ago. Don't even know what we're worrying about.
I hope I don't have that again next year then. We've got a trend the last 2 years where we've struggled big time until the new year hits. So we had a great run of form. Look, I think the first half of the season, Newcastle fans were all very, very concerned. A few daft idiots wanting Rafa out, and then when we started winning games, hey, everyone's happy again. They'll start to climb the league, but the bottom of the Premier League, in particular the bottom 2 teams, have been so poor. Huddersfield, I don't know how David Wagner's got a job in Schalke, but he's done fantastic for them. In his own accord, walked out, so fair play. But the whoever coming in, Seaward, whatever you call him, was coming in, had a task there. He's already going down. He's
could
already.
Have been Jedward.
It could be anybody. They're going down. It could have been Guardiola in charge of that team. And then Fulham to spend all that money. They're probably the biggest disappointment. Massively disappointed for going down. And then Cardiff, to be fair, for not spending the amount of money. And I know Neil Warnock gets a lot of criticism, but he's a character that I actually like. Yes, he's twisty, but it's what the Premier League needs. Nobody sitting on the fence. He'll tell her like it is. And he always bangs on about VAR. And by God, we need VAR big time next year. And they'll feel a little bit unlucky not spending much money going down.
You're saying that with Neil Warnock, but I think we've got a character coming up with one of the promoted sides in Chris Wilder, because I don't think he's shy in keeping his feelings hidden. So I still think you'll have a character in there.
But the game needs characters like that.
But you never know, we might have other characters because we don't know who else is going to come up. Yeah, you've got 4 teams currently in the playoff semis, so we could have
Get Bielsa up.
Spygate down at Darcy.
We'll touch
security.
We'll touch on the playoffs in a couple of minutes. But for people that have maybe been out and haven't seen all the scores, I'll just read them out. Brighton 1, Manchester City 4, Manchester City the champions, which we've touched on. Burnley 1, Arsenal 3. Aubameyang getting on the score sheet as well. He shared the joint top goal scorer charts with Salah and Mane. 8-goal thriller at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 5, Bournemouth 3. Palace were, I think, 3-0 up, went to 3-2. Yeah, I think so, yeah. Fulham 0, Newcastle 4. Fulham 0, Newcastle 4. It's just 4.
Just checking.
Leicester 0, Chelsea 0. That's the only 0-0 in the 3 o'clock in the last game of the season. Liverpool 2, Wolves 0. So a second place finish for Jurgen Klopp's side. Manchester United 0, Cardiff 2. Probably not even a surprise anymore. Manchester United getting beat, is it? Southampton 1, departing Huddersfield 1. Spurs 2, Everton 2. Probably a good game down at the White Hart Lane or the Tottenham Stadium or whatever it's called nowadays. And finished Watford 1, West Ham 4 as well. We touched about Leeds United and Marcel Bielsa.
Great app you got there.
Yeah, the One Football app is fantastic.
Ka-ching.
Leeds beat Derby, Paul 1-0. Kemo Ruth getting the goal on Saturday night, and Villa beating West Brom 2-1, which was an entertaining game. At the minute, Leeds and Villa have slight advantages. Can you just see that being the final in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, you could do, to be honest. Again, I've said all along, I think I'd prefer Leeds to go up, because again it's another shorter away trip and everything.
Accent, though, haven't you, Paul?
I'm getting some pelters today. I'll tell you what, I'm from up here, but I had 12 years living down there, so I do have a lot of friends who had Leeds supporters, Barnsley, Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United. So I think they deserve to come back up. Leeds, they've been in the absolute doldrums for far too long. And you think about other clubs who've been in the Premier League, the likes of Huddersfield. Would you ever have thought Huddersfield would have been in the top flight and Leeds would have been, where they've been? So yeah, I would like to see them come up. I certainly do not want Aston Villa to come up.
I think they're the form team, Liam. Can you see Villa probably edging past West Brom? I think Abraham, Grealish, Hourahan, I think that might just be the difference.
I can't stand Aston Villa and the fans.
But also West Brom without Dwight Gale.
So I think the thing with West Brom is it's political, because we don't want them to do well because of the Rondon/Murphy/Gale. So in one aspect, you want Villa to get the final, but I don't want Aston Villa coming up. I'm the same as Paul. I can't stand them. Absolutely can't stand them. I would like to say Leeds come up again. Sound like Paul here. That's because all I care about is the short journey, because we get home 3-4 in the morning, and that's just literally an hour and 10-minute drive. So that would be
another closer team as well.
Close. It's a northern team.
Yeah, northern team.
By flight to Cardiff.
Leeds have a massive fan base. You talk about Newcastle. Leeds could probably be, if not match us. But if Leeds do come up, Newcastle will be on live TV less, and I know that from work. So, but I would like to say Leeds come up. If not, Derby.
Yeah.
I don't know who you're talking about, who you're working for, Mike.
No comment.
No comment. We'll just wrap it up then. Manchester City, 198 points in the last 2 seasons. We've argued they're the best team of all time. Next season, I'm going to put you on the spot. I know the season's just finished, but in one word, as in the team, we'll start with Mark and end with me. Who's winning the league next season?
City. Yeah, I see Man City again.
I'll go Liverpool.
You would go Liverpool.
Oh, I've got to go Liverpool.
And I'll go Manchester City as well. I just think they'll be too strong, too powerful, and I think Pep Guardiola, probably the best manager in the world at the minute. So 3 for Manchester City. Lee's been a little bit different, gone for Liverpool.
Surprise.
No,
That is.
well, you two spent Boxing Day together in Liverpool, didn't you? So you had a little romantic trip.
I like I've said this before. I like Liverpool people. I like the city. I like the nightlife. I like the ladies. I like it all. So I like the only thing I don't like is the football teams. But I'd like to say the people do well there.
In the final part of the Football Fans, we'll be touching about moments of the season from a Newcastle point of view, best goal, best match, and we'll also touch on Sunderland's game on Saturday night against Portsmouth. All that in the final part here on NE1 FM.
Break time, people.
Oh, you shouldn't have been sent off.
That's not a yellow card. That's him going in, and you can even see he puts his foot down.
not
Stop
the
and stood.
I'm happy that is suspended.
But then you think,
What's coming up in the next part, Johnny?
Moment of the season. We'll talk about the goals of the
Just Newcastle or general?
Yeah, just Newcastle's goals of the season. John Joe Shelby, actually, his goal against Fulham, if you've seen it, that's going to be one of the 5, one of the contenders, and also match of the season. City, Everton, Southampton, Leicester away, Burnley away. If there's more, put them in the comments below that I've missed off. But they're the ones that I thought straight away in the top of my head. But yeah, moment of the season. We also talked about Sunderland as well. I know this is Newcastle Fans TV, but obviously we've got for NE1 there's obviously a few Sunderland fans as well. We'll touch about their 1-0 win over Portsmouth. I'm sure Paul will have a lot to say about Chris Maguire and his fantastic strike on Saturday night.
Fantastic. See McGrann score better than that. Go on.
We are on an ad break at the minute, so we...
Just a quick question, because you're a qualified ref.
Yeah, totally.
That red card last night, would you have said it was a 100% a red, or do you think that was a wrong?
I'm not convinced it was even a foul. I think he gets a bit of the ball, but if you're the referee seeing from where it's going, I don't think it's a clear goal scoring opportunity. I think he's got a little bit too much to do.
I was screaming at the TV. I was red. Come on, off. And when he got the red card off, I was howling.
I think there was a lot of pressure put on him from the Portsmouth players. I think he didn't have the greatest game in the world from him just being as a not neutral, but like watching it from.
He's not having good games. That doesn't happen.
If you want to listen to the direct audio, you can do on anyone's direct website. Obviously, this is the reason why we're holding the mic, is because this is for the YouTube. And then we're going to go back live in just a second.
And welcome back to the final part of the Football Fan Zone here on NE1 FM. We're going to be talking moments of the season. Player of the season we've touched about a couple of weeks ago, so we're going to touch about the goal of the season. John Joe Shelby actually had to mention after today's goal against Fulham, which is an absolute scream. If you haven't seen it, it's worth waiting up for on Match of the Day or Sky, whatever it is, or BT or whatever they've got. But yeah, we'll start with the contenders for goal of the season. Paul, Fabian Schär against Burnley gets a mention. Just looking at my notes while I'm actually doing this here. Rondon against Bournemouth, Schär against Cardiff, Shelby against Fulham. I think they're the ones that stand out for me. Is there any that you can think that you prefer maybe?
I think them ones from an aesthetic sort of look on it would be, and Schär and that absolute pile driver. I had to check my words there a second, but that pile driver that he scored, that literally it could have probably demolished the stand. It could have kept going. But if you're talking about goals of the season, I think the most important one, you could argue, was the Rondon one against Man City, because of how the result turned out and how it changed our season. But yeah, I would go for Shah.
What about Richie's?
Yeah, Richie against
The Bournemouth one, because at that point we were 2-1 down, 2-2. A heck of a finish. So that one probably has to be up there as well there, because I think, especially when you look at what it did, I don't think we deserved to lose the game. So that's probably an important one as well. Probably just up there along with the City one.
I've got a shout as well for team goal of the year is Rondon's away one at Huddersfield. I thought that was beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I thought just the counter attack and then the ball over to Manquillo on the right and Manquillo to square it and just side foot. I thought that for me is the team goal of the season. I thought it was brilliant.
That's right. Manquillo assisted in a goal.
It was a brilliant team goal, but for goal of the season, it's one of the shares. I'm going to go with the Thunder. I'll be careful what I would say as well. The
pile driver.
Yes, the pile driver, as WWE terms.
Me and Paul have seen the goals. I think all four of us have seen the goals. But I'm going to describe the John Joe Shelby goal because maybe people haven't seen it because obviously it's only happened today.
Get them on the Sky Sports app, can't you, Lee?
There's another pop at me.
Maybe. But Richie with the corner, and it comes towards the edge of the D, but towards the back end. For people that haven't seen it, and he looks like he's going to try and hit it first time, but he takes a touch on the chest and momentarily hits this volley right in the top bin or the top stanchion, as whatever you want to call it. Absolutely no chance for Rico. Does that come close, Paul? Do you think that maybe can squeeze in past Shaw's thunderous effort against Burnley?
Probably top 5, but I would say if he hit it, and I was screaming, I was hit it, and then he took a touch. I think if it hit the first time and it went in, it would have been definitely.
Be very Scholes, Bradford. Yes.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been. And it's tremendous technique. But the Fulham defence gave him an eternity. Was it? I think it was Alfie Mawson. He seemed to give him about a fortnight to be able to take that first touch and then absolutely just pile drive it into the net. But like I said before about John Joe, he should be scoring more goals. Why does he not when he's got that in his locker?
Doesn't play enough.
But why doesn't it? When he does play, he doesn't get further enough forward. He's capable of that, and it was just a fantastic strike from a fantastic player. And like you say, top 5, it's got to be. But Fulham give it on a plate, and I think Rafa come out and said afterwards it was something that they'd practiced and targeted on the training field because of the amount of time it takes Fulham to get out from the 6-yard box. But to me, if we'd conceded that, I'd have been screaming at whoever should have been out there to close down the player a lot quicker.
Lee, is there a mention maybe for Shaw against Cardiff? Bit of just where he just dazzled through Cardiff's defence, and I think it was almost, if you're going to think of Wales and Welsh teams, it was almost like the perfect try, maybe.
Oh, you've come up with a pun there. Our only European game of the season. Yeah, it's a great little bit of piece of skill. I think Messi would be proud of that. But I don't think it's a fluke either, because I've seen him do it a couple of times as well. Yes, he does lose the ball when he does it, which is a little bit concerning, but I think we'll see it again next year. He'll try that little jinky run, but it's good that we've got 2 ball-playing centre-backs as well, so it's a good shout.
Definitely a mark. Is there any other goals? Maybe I'm thinking Rondon against Bournemouth, the free kick.
I think Rondon's against Liverpool was instinct. That was what a hit.
Definitely. Do you think maybe, I don't know, has it been a goal that you think, that was magnificent for Newcastle this season? That's maybe surprised you. Maybe Perez's hat-trick. The fact that it was sorts of different types of goals. Maybe.
For a goal that I think probably surprised, if we're going to go from that, was Perez's header against Leicester, because it was a fantastic ball in, and the way that he just got himself to the near post in that glancing header, that surprised me. So for me, cause it was just perfect in terms of a header. So that's got to be up there. But I don't think I can see past Shaw's against Burnley, because you need to remember though, this wasn't Rondon or Perez or whoever. It was Fabian Shaw, a defender, who scored that. And to be honest, I think Vincent Kompany was watching his goal, because I think he was taking a few little tips there when he scored it against Leicester.
Well, he's a beautiful banker, isn't he? Because he used to work in the banks.
Did he actually? I never knew that.
There you go.
There we go. Right, we'll carry on. Before we touch about match this season, I'm going to just squeeze in a little club in League One. We'll talk about Sunderland. And
Doncaster.
Well, Doncaster Charlton was 2-1 to Charlton. We'll just talk. Obviously, it's not too far from where Paul's originally from as well, so I know it's probably wanted to keep that in as well. I think Lee's almost decided to break the mic there as well, which is a good start. Mark, I'll have to let you answer this one, I think. Mark, Sunderland 1, Portsmouth 0. It's the 4 of a 5-pot extravaganza, and this battle between the two big clubs in League One, shall we say. Chris Maguire getting on the score sheet early on in the second half, not without controversy though later on in the game, where Sunderland get reduced to 10 men. Ozturk getting sent off. I know you'd be thinking, who's Ozturk? I know. But a small advantage. It does, doesn't it? It's definitely. A small advantage going into the second leg on Thursday. Did they have to come away with some sort of advantage, Mark? Because Portsmouth away, it's a very, very difficult game, as something I found out earlier on in the season.
It is, and I think when you look at it, that this is the first time that they've actually got the upper hand against Portsmouth in 3 attempts, is it? So you do look at it. Yeah, it was a good finish. Yeah, but something that they probably haven't been doing often. The down to 10 men's probably debatable. I've got a feeling I think the ref was a Newcastle fan, mind you, but we'll look at that. I just think maybe one goal isn't enough to go down to Portsmouth, because I think Portsmouth at Fratton Park could score more. And it is quite a vociferous crowd down there.
Yeah, and I think they will actually sell their stadium out as well. That's another thing as well. But to be honest, there was other things happening on that night. I think there was a WWE event, and rugby at St James's and stuff like that. So yeah,
rugby sells out more than Newcastle than what football does in Sunderland.
Lee, who goes in as favourites?
Out of those two?
Yeah, on Thursday night between Sunderland and Portsmouth, who goes in as favourites?
I think the bookies will probably have it evens because it's perfectly tied, 1-0 up. Now Portsmouth will go expecting to win at home, so could even go in extra time and penalties, and it'll be high. We've seen that down the years, losing on penalties, Sunderland. But
Sunderland versus Portsmouth on penalties, it doesn't really ring a bell, does it, Paul?
a few weeks ago, back on NE1, I actually predicted this would happen when we had the Macca-mover in, and he was quite confident that they would go up automatically, and I said, no, I can see you being in the playoffs. I didn't see enough from them, and I'm sure the half-empty stadium, the people above it to turn up, didn't see enough for them to be confident that they will get through, to be honest. And then there's got to be huge question marks over their manager, because
I don't
it's
think
not
they'll
good
do
enough.
it. I think Portsmouth will win on the night.
Yeah.
I think the fact that even Aidan McGeady, who got injured in the warm-up as well, if he's not available for Thursday, I think that puts Portsmouth in full advantage, because I think he's probably the most creative player. Not like I watch a lot of Sunderland, but that's...
Sounds like you do.
And their most expensive striker, and Will Gregg, isn't scoring. He's not on fire.
It's just for research purposes before you start. Let's talk about match of the season. Let's get back onto the real thing with Newcastle. I've just picked 5 games just off the top of my head. City, Everton, Leicester, Southampton, Fulham. Let's start with the most obvious, and that is the Manchester City performance. Lee, 1-0 down after 30 seconds against the champions, as they are now. The 2-1, 2 excellent performances from Isaac, one from Isaac Hayden, one from Sean Longstaff. For me, I don't know how that can be beaten, but I'm going to put an argument for another game that might just edge it. But how vital was that? And is that your favourite match of the season?
In terms of how important it was, it is. It's not my personal favourite, but I think in terms of, because we were just starting to slowly win games, and I think that was the big one. I think, had a minute, we can actually beat the big teams, because even Kyle, was part of our Newcastle fans team, he kept saying he'll put out a statement of, if we could beat one of the big boys, we need to beat one of the big boys, because last season we went on that run where we looked unstoppable. But even Pep Guardiola, I've talked about him earlier on the show, he come out and said that his world-class talent couldn't put up against a local lad who nobody had heard of, and a lad who wanted out the club. What a performance by those two. But for personal reasons, I think for me, I enjoy always the away ones. The away wins are always a little bit more sweeter. So the ones that stand out, obviously the Burnley one, the Leicester one, the fans just going mental was just, I mean, you were next to me on that one. It was just incredible. But the Leicester one, that's what stands out in the Burnley one because of the away contingent. But for importance, I would put the Man City one.
What about Blackburn away, Paul? FA Cup. Tuesday night or Wednesday night on Ewood Park.
Outside McDonald's.
Outside McDonald's after what was it, a chip butty? I don't think you can even call it a chip butty. It was that bad. No, the game that I want to talk about though, Paul, is the Everton game, because Newcastle just got a bit of momentum at home, and we're 2-0 down. Mr. Penalty, and Jordan Pickford was giving it a
He's got wee little arms.
He's got wee little arms, wee little hands, but he saved a penalty from Matt Ritchie. The comeback, the goal from Rondon and 2 from Perez, in terms of like a football, I don't want to say fairy tale, because beating Everton at home shouldn't be classed as a fairy tale in my opinion, but 2-0 down at half time, missing a penalty and winning 3-2, it doesn't get much better if you wanted to predict a football game, is it?
Yeah, to totally turn it round and to take a certain smug look off a certain smug goalkeeper's face.
And it's also, Everton fans don't like us.
Yeah.
So even more, if it had to pick a team,
to do
it'd
it
be one of them.
Yeah. So to do all of that, and for him to be giving it large and everything, and by the end of it to see him coming off upset and stuff, it was just literally, you couldn't write drama any better than that. So that was absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. But it's got to be up there, hasn't it, for
it's worth pointing out that Everton actually only took a point off it, so that we've taken 4 points from Everton. Everton haven't been able to beat us, despite the vast amount of millions and whatever they want to spend. They weren't able to beat us, so I think that just makes it that little bit sweeter when we went back. So I think at that time, I think there was a lot of injustice in the first half, from the fact that the certain weasel-armed keeper stayed on the pitch. But I actually think that actually helped, because I think when we have that injustice, that the crowd just step up.
How good were the crowd against Everton that day, though, Mark? They were just it was just incredible atmosphere, wasn't it?
That's the problem. When there's injustice, it works. It happened against Liverpool, against other teams. When Southampton, if we look at it again there, when things don't go and the referees don't give us things that are blatant.
We've seen you get upset, Mark, when the referee decisions. You just want justice.
Well, I'm very passionate about refereeing decisions. We shouldn't be. We should be getting the amount of money that they're on, probably more than what some of our footballers are on. They should be getting the decisions right. Because I'm not putting, but like I said, things actually will stay
this season.
You're going to get another debate here.
Absolutely diabolical. Mike Dean leads the absolute way.
Lee Mason.
Another one. Oh, it is. It's getting worse and worse and worse. Our best signing this summer will be VAR. I'm telling you now. Mark my words. Next season we'll get more points through it's being referred than through anything else.
I actually might copy that statement off you there, Paul.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Let's have a couple of the comments. Davey Rennick, best channel ever. Thank you very much. Kai, I've been missing a great first leg. I don't know what that means, doesn't matter. Let's talk about a couple of the away games to finish off. First away win was Burnley. I'd like to say I remember it fondly, but I was ill and I bumped into a few of you, I think, on the day. Yeah, but Burnley, Huddersfield, Leicester, now Fulham today, 4 away wins. Leicester was amazing for all fantastic reasons. Does Leicester beat the other 3? Huddersfield, Burnley, Fulham, because for the significance of it?
For me, yes, because it almost guaranteed your Premier League status, and I think Newcastle fans would have celebrated anyways, regardless if it was the Premier League status or not. But you're seeing it yourself, because we were literally very, very front row, and we just turned and just seen thousands. It felt like the walkers from Game of Thrones were coming to get with the White Walkers. It just was thousands of Geordies going nuts. Tops off, everything was just
on Sky.
It was just, not saying that Geordies, not saying that Geordies look like White Walkers or anything, but it was just a sight, and it was we've talked about this. It's in football terms, you get probably 5 moments of the season, and that has to be one of them. Where were you at that moment? And that was, we were interviewing fans, 11 o'clock at night, beating the horns, people stopping us. It was just a brilliant night. What a night that was.
And maybe we'll finish it with the worst away game, or the worst game. Nottingham Forest away.
Over at you, Paul.
Brighton away. Brighton at home. Sorry.
That was
Leicester at home.
Nottingham Forest. You just need to stop it there. It was absolutely awful. It was inept, clueless. There was no guts. It was like they wanted to go out of the competition. It was. I've never seen a worse Newcastle performance in a long, long time. And I was absolutely bouncing when I came out of that stadium.
And finally, I'm just going to mention the fans, because the fans have been immense this season for Newcastle, and they've sold out majority of away games. We've been to a lot of them from the channel itself.
We invaded the Thames today.
We did, and I think, you know, I'll let Lee touch upon this. So obviously, we've been to quite a few away games. The fans probably don't get enough praise, unless you're actually from maybe the local media itself.
Do you reckon? I reckon the national media always talk about us.
Like who?
Like, I think...
What, Richard Keys?
What I mean by, national fans, not the media. The national fans see what they... So if you go, Manchester City fan, what do you think of Newcastle fan? What do you think of Newcastle? They always talk about the fans first. It's never the club. It's always the fans. You go to Burnley, it's always the fans. You go to any London side, it's always about the fans, the passionate. And we've got that reputation, and they enhanced it even further this year. You talk about all the games getting moved to TV from Friday night to Saturday night, Sunday, Monday.
By a certain television company.
Two television companies. Also the Premier League are a fault of that as well. So incredible. I love away days. I love the whole day, whether you win, lose or draw. You're with your mates, you're driving, you're taking the mickey, you're out enjoying your day, you want to support the lads, we're filming. It's just a brilliant all round day. But the fans are credit to this club. They are, without a shadow of a doubt.
Definitely. Well, this is where we're going to end it tonight on NE1 FM. My thanks to Mark, to Paul, to Lee, and to you for listening on NE1, or have you been watching on the YouTube stream as well. This is the season over. It's not over for us on NE1 FM. We'll be back next Sunday night, straight after our charity event. If you can come along, it's in Gosforth. It's at the great Great Park Community Centre. So come along. It'll be the original African sides against Newcastle Fans TV. If you want to come along, but most important, if you want to donate to the Sir Bobby Robson Foundation, the link will be in the description and any platform in regards to Newcastle Fans TV as well. So again, my thanks to the three guys, and we will see you next Sunday night here on NE1 FM.
That's it, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Videos coming up tonight, player ratings, and we've got the review as well. Ta-da, bye-bye.